People love to ridicule things they don't fully understand. When we ridicule something, we demote it, we point out its ridiculousness, and in that process, we elevate ourselves in relationship to it. That ridicule accentuates or exaggerates the difference between us and between them, right? So when somebody does something that appears ridiculous to others, it's easy to mock it for entertainment. In many cases in today's era, for likes and social media traction and whatever floats your boat, right? So this post is hopefully going to be educational. Unfortunately, it probably won't reach the masses, like if I called someone an idiot or lampooned something that was on trend and probably swore a lot, right? So to some extent, it's human nature to do this. I've been privy to it and I've also been guilty of it. So I'm hopefully going to educate a little on something that's very misunderstood and help both sides of the fence understand a little more. Right now, something I've done for a long time is under fire. And the reason it's topical right now is, like many things we find benefit in that appear a little ridiculous, we do them silently to avoid that kind of aforementioned ridicule. If we don't talk about it, nobody can ridicule us about it, right? So let's talk ice baths, cryotherapy, cold water exposure, cold water swimming, whatever. Things people see as crazy, right? Basics first. When we are exposed to a stress that in high or prolonged doses would be dangerous or even fatal, for a short or acute period of time, this is what we call eustress. It's a form of positive, dose-controlled positive stress, unlike distress. Types of eustress we've embraced as human beings are things that have almost always come about by pushing the envelope in human performance. So take a deep tissue massage, an uncomfortable, stressful thing we do because we know it benefits us. Too much of it, too much pressure, and it becomes detrimental. Almost all forms of exercise. We know that to yield the benefits, we've got to push to a certain degree. Push too much, we break ourselves. Don't push enough, we don't get adaptation. The example of rhabdomyolysis in the world of CrossFit, when that dosage was, miscalculated, each posing a level of risk if we do too much or we get that proverbial dosage wrong. So deliberate cold exposure, ice baths, cold water swimming, cryotherapy, things that have been used for centuries but never really fully understood. So where we are now is we're in a place where enough people are doing it, there's enough revenue to be made through it, that research and science is now being forced to give us answers around a whole array of benefits and claims and what have you. Right now, that science is good and on the right trajectory, but it lacks overall weight. There's simply not enough of it across the board, but it's positive and it takes time for bodies of evidence to accumulate. But when that trajectory of evidence looks good and is pretty decent, it tends to follow that path. But that doesn't mean people who don't understand it and believe it to be another trendy fad won't leverage its popularity for an opportunity for likes. And it also doesn't mean a bunch of people are doing it with no rationale, but because it's a trend. So they're doing it now and ultimately they'll stop doing it when it falls off trend because of that lack of knowledge and lack of rationale as to why they're doing it. So hopefully this will help both sides to understand a little bit more about it and get people who are condemning it to understand a little bit more, and those that are doing it because it's trendy to stick at it, or an alternative for longer. It's just another form of eustress. Too much, it will kill you. Just the right amount will force positive adaptation. It's relatively simple in its application, it's accessible, and it's largely cheap. Short-term forms of eustress improve performance. They stimulate and motivate us to tackle challenges, increase our resilience, cognitively, physically. It provides us with bursts of energy. It's within our coping abilities because we can regulate it. Provides us with new tools that we didn't have before, and it empowers us to grow emotionally, physically, psychologically. Now, in comparison, distress, which is a negative type of stress, this decreases performance, and it's this sort of stuff we're exposed to daily without our control. It decreases performance. It's typically longer term. It's often beyond our physical resources to cope with that threat. It causes us to eat or sleep too much or too little. It pulls us away from people and things. It gives us symptoms of low or no energy. It gives us unexplained aches and pains, stomach aches, headaches. It makes us feel helpless and hopeless. It can cause us to excessively smoke, drink, use drugs, including prescription meds. It makes us worry a lot of the time, it makes us feel guilty but not sure why. It can cause depression and suicidal thoughts. It can create difficulty readjusting to home or work life. Now, whatever you choose as your form or forms of deliberate eustress, it's up to you. Cold exposure, heat exposure, light exposure, and all the forms of positive cognitive and physical stress we control and dose daily to improve ourselves. It doesn't matter what it is, how weird it is, how weird it might look, or how uncomfortable it may make others feel because you're doing it. Just pick it, do it, and enjoy it for what it is. Take away in many cases the countless other benefits that still need data. Controlled eustress improves human beings. That much we know right now.